Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Dunk Dynasty, episode 20. Have a very special guest on today. We got Gary Stokan. He's the CEO of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. We're going to bring him in now, and we're going to talk everything there is about the Peach Bowl. Hey, Gary, how are you today, sir?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Doing well,
Thanks for
doing
having
well.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. I guess we could just dive right into it. I'd love to know a little bit about your, I guess, kind of like about your career. And I had a lot of people asking me, like, what goes into being the CEO of a bowl game, like the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl? Like, how do you become, or I guess, how do you become a CEO first off, and then kind of like what goes into like the planning and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I've been in sports business for 46 years. Started in coaching at my alma mater at NC State in basketball, and then went to work for Adidas, and then went to work for Converse, um, and then started my own sports marketing company and sold that to a company in London that wanted to get into the Atlanta market for the '96 Olympic Games. Went back to work for Adidas, and then in 1998 took the job as president of the Atlanta Sports Council and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and been president and CEO ever since.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's super cool. What goes into like planning the Peach Bowl and stuff like that? I'm sure this being the first year that it's a part of like the new 12 team playoff. You get the quarterfinal game. What goes into planning something as big as the Peach Bowl? Like I'm sure there's planning probably year round. I'd imagine.
Yeah, it certainly is, particularly this year with the advent of the 12-team playoff, as you mentioned. A lot of meetings between the New Year's Six bowl games, which is the Fiesta, the Rose, the Sugar, the Cotton, the Orange, and the Peach, with CFP, the College Football Playoff Organization, to talk through putting together this 12-team playoff. And in Atlanta, we'll host the quarterfinal this year in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. The national championship will be played in Atlanta January 20th. And then next year, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl will be the semifinal of the CFP. So basically, in a calendar year from January 1 this year through January 9th next year, we'll have hosted all three of the CFP main events. So one of the reasons why a lot of the media call us the capital of college football, with our Aflac kickoff game to start the season, where we had Georgia and Clemson kick off this year, and then with our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl games, the SEC Championship, the Celebration Bowl, and the College Football Hall of Fame, all located in Atlanta. College football is a big economic impact driver for the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I could imagine. Just from like a college sports in general. I'm based out of Arizona, and just watching this past year when the Final Four and stuff like that was in Arizona, it's like almost like night and day difference. Just seeing like all the people flying into the airports and stuff like that. I made the mistake flying out of the airport the weekend of the Final Four, and it was like 2 hour long wait times to get through TSA and all of this stuff. So I mean, I could imagine just the like you said the economic impact both for the city of Atlanta, plus I'm sure all the local the little mom and pop shops and all that kind of stuff probably drastically are affected in a great way because you get I mean I'm not super familiar with the amount of people, but I imagine probably north of a couple 100,000 at a minimum are kind of coming in to either watch the game in person or just be there to kind of experience the atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. So I could imagine the economic impact there for sure.
Yeah, and it happens at a time of the year, when there's not a lot of people using hotels downtown or the restaurants downtown Atlanta over the holidays. So comes at a great time for the hospitality industry to lead the tourism in the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, like I said, I could only imagine. I'm curious to know. I know you briefly kind of touched on, all the meetings with the college football playoff committee and all of that kind of stuff. And just knowing a little bit about you, I know you, like you said, you've been in the sports industry for quite a bit of years. What are your thoughts, kind of like about the current state of the college football playoffs, like expanding to the 12 team this year? There's already talks of, hey, we're gonna potentially expand it to 16 teams in 2016. I guess what are your thoughts on the kind of like the current standing or the current environment of like what college football has become, with the increase in teams and stuff like that in the playoffs?
Well, I think the college football playoff has certainly added to the ratings of viewership as well as TV attendance, TV viewership and attendance figures at college football stadiums around the country. And, college football is the second most favorite sport in this country, only behind the NFL. And when you add the college football playoff, which has brought more attention to the sport through the month of December, because you've had more teams vying for the opportunity to play in the college football playoff. So it's been a huge success so far, and the games haven't even taken place yet. So I think the viewership is going to be fantastic. I think the attendance is going to be sellouts across the board. Um, Now, having said that, obviously there's going to be unintended consequences to anything you do the first time, and I think the commissioners will learn, from this first iteration of the CFP playoff. We have 1 year left under the old contracts that we signed back in 2014, and then in 2026, the CFP commissioners will look at, and the management committee will look at, what's the next iteration? Is it 14? Is it 16? Is it automatic qualifiers? Do the conference champs get in but maybe don't get a bye? All those things they'll take into consideration, that they'll learn from this year and next year, and then in 2026 have the next, whatever the college football playoff will look like.
Got it. Yeah, I'm kind of curious your I guess your thoughts, just as like a college football aficionado and things like that. I'm sure you've seen in the news and in the media and all that stuff. Everyone's talking about, oh, Arizona State, they shouldn't have got a bye. Boise State shouldn't have got a bye. Like their strength of schedule wasn't strong enough, and they didn't play anybody and stuff like that. So I'm curious to know your thoughts. Aside from being the representative of the Peach Bowl, kind of like what are your thoughts? Like, do you think that, one, I guess those teams, did they earn it? And then two, kind of like what your thoughts are on, like, do you see them expanding to 16 teams or to maybe 24 teams or something like that in the future? I'm curious to know your thoughts on kind of where you think you see the future of the CFP going.
Yeah, I won't tread down the commissioner's road because it's up to them. So I really don't have a say. But I will tell you that, I certainly think Arizona State and Boise State deserve to be in the playoff this year. And by the rules, they certainly deserve their positioning and where they have their buys. I think the commissioners, when they developed this 12-team playoff, wanted to give increased opportunity for the teams that won conference championship games, because the conferences make a lot of money on those conference championship games. And so they wanted to make them even more relevant in the 12-team playoff. And so they offered a bye to the conference champs. So Arizona State, coming from the Big 12 or from the Pac 12 to the Big 12 in its first year, winning the Big 12 after being picked last, I think it's remarkable what Kenny Dillingham has done in this year in Arizona State. So we're really excited about, hosting them. They're going to sell out all their tickets, and we're sold out already. And I know Clemson or Texas, whoever wins this weekend to play Arizona State, will sell out their tickets. So it's going to be electric atmosphere in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which we've already hosted one national championship. We're the first city to double host. So January 20th. So it's going to be a great Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and certainly deserving for Arizona State.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think you hit a good point when you said, the committee was talking about, hey, we want to make these bowl games, or like these conference championship games and things like that. We want them to be important. And I personally, I'm a big fan of the iteration where they said, hey, it's going to be the top 5 conference champions. They didn't specifically call out, the top 5 power conference champions or something like that, which gives this phenomenal opportunity for a team like Boise State to kind of show on the big stage what they're made of, and kind of, hey, can they hang with the big dogs, right? I think that's a big opportunity for a small school like Boise State coming out of the Mountain West, to be able to have this opportunity to play against, if they make it to the semifinals, to play against a Georgia or to play against a Notre Dame or something like that. It goes to show, kind of how much these expansions in these iterations have changed quite a bit, because for so long we saw Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and these 4 or 5 teams. All of them, majority more often than not, were from the SEC, rightfully so. They're the best. They're kind of the pinnacle of football as far as college is concerned and things like that. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and kind of talking about the history of the Peach Bowl and things like that. And I I appreciate you and spending some time with me this afternoon. I apologize for the background. It looks a little bit funky. I'm outside of my normal realm. I'm visiting a couple buddies out in Palisade, Colorado. So he told me, he's like, oh, you're talking to the CEO of the Peach Bowl. Like, he's like, here's a fun fact for you. He's like, peaches, the only place like west of the Mississippi where they grow peaches is right outside. Like, I can see a bunch of peach orchards and stuff like that, right out of his backyard. So
That's great. That's great.
super cool. But yeah, Gary, I really appreciate you coming on and
Sure, I enjoyed it.
a little time with me today, and I hope that you have a great day, and I'm excited to watch the games and stuff like that this weekend and find out who Arizona State will be playing this weekend. So
Well, thanks so much. We hope you come to Atlanta to see the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and we look forward to hosting you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.